Hello, welcome to my brand new channel. I'm Amy McDonald, a Gyrotonic and Gyrokinesis Master Trainer, and I have Gyrotonic Ann Arbor, where I do teacher trainings, online classes and private sessions, and my on-demand video series. And I do see some private clients still here, although I've kind of backed off of that a little bit in the past few years. I also run a dance company, and I'm the mother of a 15-year-old soccer player. So a lot of stuff going on in my life. I decided to start this project because I used to do a blog that was on my website, and we go out usually a couple times a month, but I was a little inconsistent with that because I just had so much going on. But the purpose of the blog was to address all the questions that my students ask me again and again. So the same things that keep coming up. And I would always be going to coffee to have a little chat through with someone about something. And it was the same stuff or similar stuff over and over again. And I thought, well, an easier way to handle that and just get it out to more people, because obviously these are common questions, would be to do a blog. But now I'm feeling like this is more, more relevant right now, is just to kind of sit and have a chat with you. It's more like we're out for coffee. And I'm going to be pretty casual about this. I'm a little bit of a mess. I just finished teaching, so I haven't done my hair or anything like that. But I wanted to just kind of take a little chat time, just like I would do on breaks from courses, just to chat with the students and kind of talk a little bit about what are the questions that are coming up for you as gyrotonic or gyrokinesis trainers. If you're a Pilates teacher or a yoga teacher, some of this will apply as well. But obviously my specific focus is the gyrotonic and gyrokinesis work. So I'm talking to you from my dream studio here. We built this behind our house. We just completed it in August. It's March now, and I've been teaching pretty much nonstop in here since it was completed. And lots of teacher training courses, and I'm seeing some clients. And I'm doing all my online on-demand videos here as well. So it's been a great space for that. I'll give you guys a little tour of it in a bit. Before I was in this space, I was in my temporary basement space for about 4 years. It was a tiny little space. I made it work. It was tricky. I had teacher trainings down there, and I saw clients down there, and it was tight. I only had my tower and my jumping stretching board in that space. So it's really nice now to have everything really fully set up here, all my equipment, fully equipped studio, and I'm just loving being in this space. It's like a little tree house up here. And I've got my plants, and I'm trying not to kill them. I haven't really got a good green thumb, but I'm determined to have that lush, natural feeling around here and just create a nice environment to work in all day, and a nice environment for calm, serene teacher training courses, and just to make it feel nice. So it took me a while to get to the point where I have this dream studio. This has been my goal for a really long time. And it took me a little while to figure out that that was my goal, because initially I thought that I wanted to have a big studio, because there weren't really any studios around when I started teaching. I thought it would be a great place to have a community of gyrotonic people around me. And at the time it was also Pilates. So I really put a lot of focus on building that around me and trying to build a community of like-minded movers. But at some point, the admin work became too much, and I really needed to scale back and just focus on my teaching. And also, it was really pulling away from the time I could spend doing my dance work as well. So let me give you a little brief history for those of you who don't know me and don't know my story, but I suspect it's mostly people who know me who are here at this point. So I come from a dance background, and that led me to start teaching Pilates. And I was in the first teacher training course at Equilibrium in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. Back early in the day, still no one had heard of Pilates back in those days. If I sat next to someone on the airplane and they asked what I did and I said I taught Pilates, they had no clue what I was talking about. So that's where I started, and that was about a 45-minute drive away, and I still wanted to stay based in Ann Arbor. That's where I was doing my dance work, and that's where my family is, and just really where all my friends were and where I was based. So I didn't really want to move away, and I didn't want to commute. So I set up a reformer and a Pilates chair in the living room of my apartment, and I started seeing some clients there on days that I wasn't going into the studio to teach. And that started to grow and grow, and eventually my dad said that there was an office that had opened up in his building across the hall from his psychology office, and the rent was good, and so I ended up taking that space and moving in there and moving my reformer, my chair, and buying a Cadillac and getting it all set up in there, and I started teaching Pilates mat classes there, and it was soon after that that I discovered Gyrotonic. So I had left Equilibrium, and shortly after I left, Sebastian Plattenberg came and did a Gyrotonic Foundation course, which I missed because I had already left the studio at that point. But I did get to go and try some sessions with some of the trainers there who had done their training with him, and I immediately loved it and decided that is what I wanted to do. That was going to be my thing. And so there wasn't really any place to do the training in the area. There weren't any Gyrotonic studios in the area. There weren't any master trainers in the area. There was really nothing in all of Michigan at the time. And so I was flying out to Boulder to do my training with Sky Shansby. So I did my training with him. He was a master trainer. I don't know what's happened to him, but he was a master trainer back in the day. And from there, I ended up going to Chicago to do my Gyrokinesis Foundation course. And I did that with Jürgen Bamberger. And once I met Jürgen, I decided, all right, this guy knows what he's talking about. I am just gonna follow Jürgen. And he was a real mentor to me. He was just so knowledgeable and so generous with information and so clear. And I ended up becoming a pre-trainer in his network. And then from there, ended up following the path to become a master trainer. Meanwhile, I had opened a bigger studio. I had 10 trainers at one point, and that was a lot. And once I started doing the teacher trainings for Gyrotonic and Gyrokinesis, and I was also a STOT Pilates instructor trainer, so I was doing Pilates teacher trainings as well. So I would be teaching from 7 in the morning till about 1 in the afternoon, seeing clients, and then from 1 in the afternoon till late into the evening, I would be doing teacher trainings, and then I would go home and I would do my admin work, and then I had a baby, and I was still trying to do that, and that was a lot. I became a Gyrokinesis Master Trainer in 2008, and Gyrotonic Master Trainer in 2009, and then I had my son in 2010. So it was a lot happening very concentrated all at once. The studio was growing to the point where we needed to expand into a larger space. I couldn't accommodate the clients, I couldn't accommodate all the trainers. It was just growing to a point where I felt like I had to expand in order to let it continue to thrive. In the process of looking at what it would take to move into a larger space and running the numbers and figuring out what hours I would have to work and how many trainers I would have to have and how many clients we would have to have on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, I decided I didn't want to do that. And not only did I not want to do that, I didn't really want to run the studio I was running anymore. I just wanted to focus on teaching, and I wanted to focus back on dancing again because my attention had been pulled away from that. by all of the admin work and all the other stuff that was going on. And life was just too busy to fit in anything that was not my purpose. And admin, unfortunately, is not my purpose. So I ended up transitioning my studio over to someone else and just ended up working out of that studio, which was a much better arrangement for me initially. But after being there for several years, it became clear that I was really not going to be able to thrive in that space. And so during the pandemic, I left. That's a whole other story, and it's still on my blog, on my website, if anyone wants to read about that. But that is so ancient history now, I don't really want to go into it again. So during the pandemic, we all started teaching online. And some people hated that. A lot of people hated that, but I actually really enjoyed it. I really loved it. I loved having students from all across the world. I loved having all sorts of different people in my classes. And I loved being able to teach what I wanted to teach. The people who wanted to do the classes I wanted to do were going to find me. And so I didn't have to be teaching just gyrokinesis classes to a general population, which was more what the focus was where I had taught before. And I could focus more on working with trainers and with people who are really deeply involved in the work. I've always really loved working with teachers, really loved working in depth, and this really gave me the opportunity to do that more consistently. And that's how I got into doing the on-demand videos. And that's become a big part of what I focus on. I really enjoy doing that. I really like that I can be providing classes for people who may live in isolated areas, that people who need more support as they're going through their process of becoming trainers, they can take some extra classes. And I love that I can make it really affordable for people because I just teach the class and then I put it out there and people can take it later, and it doesn't take me any more time. So I don't have to charge my hourly rate for everyone that's taking that class. That I feel really good about. I've always been a little bit uncomfortable with the fact that the only people who could afford to do the work with me were people of a certain socioeconomic class. And I think the work really should be available for everyone to do. But the economy of that, of my time for what I need to make to be able to make a living, just the pricing structure doesn't work to make that available until I can put it out there online and people can take my class at a time that works for them. They could be taking class while I'm asleep or out with my family or at dance class or rehearsal or whatever I'm doing. And so I don't have to charge that hourly rate for every single moment that I'm teaching, right? Because people can do those classes when it suits them. And so that's made it feel really more comfortable to me that I'm making the work available to a broader group of people. So currently I divide my time between my teaching gyrotonic and gyrokinesis work, which would be mostly teacher trainings and the online work, and then some private hours, and my dance company, Terpsichore Collective. And so I'm the artistic director for that, so I'm always working on choreographic projects, in rehearsals. I also make all my costumes for that. I'm really into the costuming aspect of it, and I'm still performing a little bit with the company. So what I want to do with this project here is to really open it up to answer your questions as movement trainers, whatever those questions may be in terms of how to create a good teaching situation for yourself, if there are issues that come up, whatever your questions are, I'd love to be able to help address those and address it to the group, right? To anyone that has those same questions, because I think that we really do come across the same issues again and again in the community. And I've been through so many of them in my years. I've been teaching a really long time. So I maybe have made the same mistake and can warn you off of it, or I may have worked my way out of a problem and found a great solution that I'm happy to share. I just want to share the experiences that I've had with you so that we can all have a more fulfilling career, life, all of that within this kind of peculiar field that we work in. If you have movement questions, I'm not going to be addressing movement related questions so much here. Those I'm going to be addressing through the on-demand video platform. That's where I'm actually doing movement, teaching movement, answering your movement questions. Here it's more just the psychology of it, the business aspects of it, just various musings that we have, whatever it is that you guys have questions about. I have some topics that I want to share with you guys in the future. I want to talk about making this field work better for women. I think that's a big issue that needs to be addressed, and I have lots of thoughts on that to share. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what type of situation is the best situation for you to teach in, whether that is working for a big studio, starting your own big studio, working out of a home studio, or whatever it may be. One of the great things about this field is that we can really tailor it to exactly what is the right lifestyle for us as individuals. And I want to help talk through some of those ideas and what some of those scenarios might look like so you can really tailor your career to work for you. I'd like to also talk a little bit about time management. How do we fit in our workouts? How do we keep balance as trainers in this really busy lifestyle? And it's easy to be teaching people all day and then not get to your own workout. That's one of the issues that I hear a lot about from people, is that they're teaching and teaching and teaching, and they're not really making the time to take care of themselves. And I have a few ideas around that because that's an important thing to prioritize as trainers. And I want to talk a little bit about how we frame our careers for ourselves, which can really help make some decisions about how you want to move forward. What are the best choices for you? What's the best teaching situation for you? Thinking about, are you a service provider as a trainer? Or are you an educator? Or are you a combination of both of those things? And how the way that we frame for ourselves our vision of what it is that we are can affect what it is that we're doing and how we're doing it. I also want to have some fun moments just showing off my new studio and all the little props and bits and pieces that I think are really helpful to have. After making do in my basement for so long, I decided when I moved into this new beautiful space that there would be no compromises. And so if I wanted that special cushion wedge thing, whatever it was, I was gonna make sure that I had that so that my teaching day was just as smooth as possible and the experience was really good for me and for my students and for my clients. So I just wanna show you some little things that I think are really great to have. So yeah, just a little of this, a little of that, and then of course any questions that you have, just shoot them off to me and I'm happy to address those. All right, I'm looking forward to wherever this takes us. This is a new kind of peculiar project for me to be taking on. I don't really have time to be doing this, but I feel really driven to do it. So let's do this and just see where it goes. All right, I'll see you again soon. Bye.